As promised, I've got my breakdown on the Eagles' backfield. All three of them: DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, Darren Sproles. Now, I think that all three of these guys are going to drop pretty significantly from where they were in 2014. I think just with having to share the workload, Chip Kelly's been pretty open about wanting to give all these guys touches. That I'd expect to see probably about a 30% drop-off in production from where they've been at, averaging over the past 2 seasons at least anyways. All right, so DeMarco Murray finished last year #1 overall running back, over 1,800 yards, 282 fantasy points, had a career year. At the beginning of the season, pre-draft, he was ranked as about the 8th running back coming off the board. Heading into this season, I see him, I've got him outside the top 10. Really, I have him closer to about number 15. All right, I've got him going for 205 carries, adding another 35 catches with that for just over 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 160 fantasy points. And I really think that I'm being very realistic with those numbers there. Maybe it seems like I'm being a little low, but I'm not being overly conservative on these points. I'm really not. And even if you take a look at just the sheer volume of work that he had last year, and any of these running backs historically that have gone for 370 or more carries have just pretty much sucked the next year. Tristan H. Cockcroft actually did an amazing article that he wrote on it back in 2010, and I included a hyperlink to that in my post down below. If you're reading, click on that, take a few minutes to read it. It'll blow your mind. I mean, I think he did a great job just breaking down all the different components and all the stats and everything that goes into what these guys end up putting up after such a huge year like that, and I don't think there's going to be enough tread left on the tires for him. All right, Ryan Matthews, 2014 is kind of a hard year to gauge anything. He only played 6 games last year, so he finished well outside the top 40 in fantasy. But when he did play, he's pretty effective usually. He's always been the starter with the Chargers, so now he's in more of a timeshare. I'd expect to see the numbers still drop off, and I'm not even fully confident that he'll play the full year. But again, I've got him going for 675 total yards and 85 points, which I know seems really low, but I think that it's just going to be a struggle for those guys to have to be in a timeshare, and the carries are going to go around to everybody. It's just going to be tough. So generally, pre-draft, he's somewhere in that top 20 to top 25 kind of running back. I guess maybe he could still put up those type numbers this year if he stays healthy and gets the yardage. But really, I think he's more like a top 35 running back. I still wouldn't be too keen on taking him super early. I think really you shouldn't be going after Ryan Matthews any earlier than the 7th round, to be quite honest. That should be the earliest that you're thinking about him. I don't even think you're going to get an RB2 out of him. So just beware. Don't over-evaluate these guys. And then Darren Sproles finished 27th last year with 107 points. He's always been a really consistent guy, and I don't think that I'm going to have him quite that high. I still have him as a top 40 running back. And the thing with him is that at least you know what you're going to get. He's consistent every year, and I think he has the best return on investment. You can wait until at least the 8th or 9th round, or maybe even later, to pick up Darren Sproles, have him on your roster, and still be a reasonable flex play consideration any given week. He's going to get you, 6 to 8 points pretty regularly. He's not going to have a lot of ups and downs. Just know that, hey, when you're drafting him, you're not looking for an RB1, RB2. You're already going to have 3 running backs on your roster if you're somewhere in those middle to late rounds, that if you take him, it's still going to be worth it. All right? So if you have to draft any of these 3 guys, I'd say that's your safest pick. I'm really nervous that a lot of people are going to go way too crazy and expect both DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews to be studs, and they're going to be horribly, horribly disappointed. That's pretty much just the fact of the matter. DeMarco Murray, like I said, a number 15 back, should be coming off the board in the 3rd round. I really think that you're going to be very, very disappointed and upset with yourself if you try to draft him earlier than the 3rd round. That's where he's at. That's where his value is going to be. Don't go earlier than that on him. And Ryan Matthews, earliest 7th round, and I'd still try to wait closer to that 8th or 9th round, similar to Darren Sproles. So that's my analysis on all three of those guys. Unfortunately, they're all going to drop a little bit, but that's what happens when you have a timeshare in the backfield. As I told you, I'm going to have some info on Darren McFadden coming up. Also, his counterpart from Oakland last year, Latavius Murray, how I think both of those guys will fare this year, and some more to come. Thanks.